Drake, does it surprise you at all that we're talking about BYU right now in the Sweet 16?
Me? Does this surprise me, DJ? Is that a real question that you're asking?
I gave you a softball. Not quite a banana ball, but a softball.
I have learned if there's one school, one team I'm not going to doubt in March Madness or in football or at this point in really anything, it's BYU because of the newfound commitment that they've made to athletics. I say newfound. That might tick off some BYU fans like, oh, what do you mean newfound? Not necessarily something that BYU hasn't cared about. It's not like they've been lackadaisical about athletics, but now it's, hey, what if we put a whole lot of money into basketball, into football, into winning, into the transfer portal? What if instead of getting the 2-star kid from Logan or the 3-star kid from Orem, who will be really good in 4 years, we pony up NIL and we go get the greatest international player in the country, bring him to play for us, give him $1 million and win. Now, a big piece of this too, TJ, that I continue to bring up because people need to understand the reason I tout BYU so much is because of the growth they can continue to keep up with that Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints moniker. The fact that they're so committed to that faith committed to them as the flagship university of the LDS Church is great for BYU because you have an international fan base. And the more that BYU wins, the more those 3 letters are promoted. The more the name Brigham Young is promoted, the more that an entire faith is promoted, the more that Notre Dame wins, the more the Catholic faith is promoted. People are like, oh yeah, the Catholic school is in the national championship or making a deep run. That's how you can use athletics as a format to spread something larger or a message. That's what BYU is doing. What if we invest in basketball? What if we invest in football and those 3 letters grow even larger and the faith can expand? This isn't just like Alabama winning to win, winning to appease donors, donating money to see the school put up W's. No, this is an entire faith built around a university, I should say, built around a faith in an athletic department that recognizes that and now wants to invest insane amounts of money here. So I'm not shocked that BYU's here based on the way they built their roster, based on Kevin Young being their head coach. And if one man in this world had BYU going to the Sweet 16, it was me. And I have touted that for weeks on end now. Here they are. They've made it. And the analytics love BYU, even against Alabama.
So I want to ask you about that Bama game and some matchups and thoughts there. But we took care of business first round against VCU, and then in the second round, absolutely. I think this tournament, not to crap on the tournament at all, because because college basketball right now is becoming so top heavy. We didn't get a lot of upsets. We didn't get a lot of buzzer beaters. We got one last night in the game, and then the Florida UConn game was good. But this of the second round, when you look at the games, this Wisconsin BYU game was really, really good, and really kind of one of the classics of the tournament so far, in a tournament that I do think has largely been underwhelming. I asked, I knew you weren't going to be surprised, but what has BYU done to put themselves in this position on the court, specifically in that second round game against Wisconsin?
Yeah, they played really clutch basketball and really good defense. Now, the clutch part, you're probably hearing that and going, oh, they play clutch basketball. It's what they say about everybody who makes the Sweet 16. But to an extent, that's true. You look at the Wisconsin game. BYU let Wisconsin right back in there. The referees gave the Badgers some help. The VCU game, VCU pulled it within single digits in the second half. And you thought, oh, shoot, is BYU going to crap this game away? And it's tough to say when you're up 20 points, 15 points, and the opposing team pulls it within a couple of buckets that you're playing your best basketball or playing clutch basketball. But when the clutch factor really matters is once it's gotten to single digits and you still win that game. Once the momentum has swung the other way and you still win that game. BYU doesn't look pretty. They don't look good. They are a very good momentum team. They're one of the least consistent teams in college basketball. They will go on a run of their own, a 23-8 run, and then give you your own 23-8 run. So finding a way to win these games, finding that clutch gene in the last 2 minutes, in the last 30 seconds is how BYU has gotten here, along with the number 7 defense in America per shot quality. Now, there are NBA coaches who pay shot quality to run their advanced analytics. And if you ask that site, they'd say BYU is 7th in America on that side of the ball. Many people threw away the BYU defense. Last year, it wasn't that great. They were a little bit more live and die by the 3. But this is a BYU squad this year that has settled in offensively, number 11 in the nation, and defensively, they are just elite. If you're top 10 in the country, you are elite. And while that side doesn't get a lot of flowers, it should. BYU has made it here off of really good basketball in that last minute, 2 minutes of the game. and insanely good defense.
They'll certainly have their hands full. You mentioned the Bama game coming up. Mark Sears, one of the best players in the entire country, took away several awards in the SEC and then nationally. A kid that when I would tune in and watch him this year seemed to make every big shot and really was the catalyst that really gets that team going. How do you think they, not only him, but just a pretty talented Bama team that again we talked about the SEC earlier, but a talented Bama team that had some pretty impressive wins this year, had some nice things that they've been able to do. Just thoughts on how they match up with Sears specifically and, also with Alabama in totality.
Yeah, I don't hate this matchup at all for BYU because of how finicky Alabama looked against St. Mary's and even against Robert Morris in that first round game. Bama could have easily lost each of those if not for runs of their own. They're late within 10 minutes to go in the game. Like St. Mary's pulls it within single digits and they keep hanging around. Robert Morris pulls it within single digits and they keep hanging around. Alabama has not impressed me really whatsoever in March to this point. And as good as they were in the regular season, I just don't know if I can trust their defense. And in March, that is what is so key to keep yourself in the big dance. They allowed 81 points to that Robert Morris team that you thought they could absolutely blow them out. For Alabama this year, their offense is 4th in the country. Their defense 81st in America per shot quality. That's a massive advantage for BYU. On a neutral court, this is a BYU win per shot quality by 1 point. Now, that's still a 6 seed over a 2 seed, a major upset over an SEC team, but when the advanced analytics like it, I like it a lot. What's going to hurt BYU in this game, and I'm going to bring this up now, and the deeper they get in the tournament, it's really going to become a factor, is their inability to get to the free throw line and make free throws. They're 253rd in America this year in drawing fouls. They don't get fouled a lot. When they do, they don't always make their free throws. They were much better against Wisconsin, despite some disparity with the officiating crew, but then again, BYU doesn't really foul other teams. Most of the games they play, based on the numbers, don't send either to the line very much. So that's an interesting thing to pay attention to here. If BYU and Alabama play a clean game where the officials let them go, this is a BYU win, no doubt. If Bama shoots 12 more free throws, that's when things get dicey. But again, BYU number 8 in America defensively, number 11 offensively. For Alabama, they're number 81 defensively, and they're number 4 offensively. So that's a really weird little lopsided thing to play around with.
Any news by saying that certainly starting well is a big deal. Watching Bama, you mentioned all of March, watching Bama against Florida in the SEC tournament, Florida got out to a pretty good lead. And by, right after halftime, Florida got a kind of insurmountable and then just kind of coasted the rest of the way. And in a lot of Alabama's wins, they've gotten up big and not, defense. They just have kept scoring, right? Best defense is a good offense that kind of keeps the ball going through the net, and the other team doesn't have a chance to come back. With a defense that struggles, it's kind of the same thing for BYU. If they can get up on Bama, and it doesn't, any team gets up by 10 or 12 points. Again, I'm not breaking news by telling you that, but with a defense that is a little bit better, with a Bama defense that struggles to slow people down, if you get up and have more talent than a Bob Morris, right, who certainly took them to the absolute wire, if you have a little more talent than them, right, you're a 6 seed, right, not an unexpected 15. I do think that's where BYU can really have a lot of success. Alabama's offense, though, really good. And that's where if BYU starts to trail, can they get enough stops to get back into a game? I think this is going to be a classic. I think this is going to be one that's a ton of fun. Do you have an X factor for BYU in this game?
Yeah, Kibakeda is really underrated for what he's been able to do. Yegor Demon is a massive name for them. Richie Saunders, obviously. And even you throw in a Trevin Nell or a Dallin Hall, they've got guys you've kind of heard of at BYU for the last year or two, or this year at least. Kibakeda is a guy that nationally does not get respect or attention. He should. He is an impeccable big man inside. Great at rebounding the basketball. Great at offensive boards and putbacks. Keeps the ball high. He's a fundamental player. He'll be the difference maker.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Look, I am 24 years old. I don't know what I'm doing with my money. Monarch Money has fixed that. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did my money go? Between dining out and, entertainment, online shopping, easy to lose track. Monarch Money, that's where they come in. Personal CFO. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. So when I started Monarch Money, I realized how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I don't. And you can manage money with your partner. It's smooth and easy. Track shared and personal accounts, set goals, stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Go to monarchmoney.com. Check it out.